Welcome back to Coffee with Yvonne, a show for creators and entrepreneurs. I'm Yvonne Pearson, your host, and Darling, the founder. Me and Manel's back together, the founder of Pink Dollhouse Marketing. And on today's show, we're going to be doing another Marketing Magic episode because I know how much y'all love those. I know y'all do because I love them too. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. If you follow me on the socials, marketing is not just my career, but it's also my passion. But I love making marketing simple and easy for just everyday folks to understand, removing all that fancy schmancy jargon that we use in the industry and making it easy for anyone who has a passion about creativity or may have seen something while you scrolling on your timeline, and you had no idea that there were marketing elements attached to that initiative. So on today's show, we're going to be talking about why Expedia bet big on IShowSpeed, a creator, and won Gen Z's attention, how Pizza Hut turned memory into momentum, Disney's high fashion remix, and verified by Spotify authenticity as a feature. So grab your coffee and let's chat. And you know what? There's no coffee in this cup. And I'm going to tell you why. Because allergy season is kicking my behind. It is. Like, I really thought Mother Nature and I came to understand it. I thought that she was going to leave me alone. I thought after I got through flu season with no flu, that she was going to leave me alone. But no, here come this heifer around the corner with her pollen, her flowers, and all the things falling from the sky. And then here come my sinuses. So if I sound a little stuffy, it's because Mother Nature could not let your girl live and enjoy one season without her humidifier and all the things to keep her breathing properly. But anyway, that's not why we're here. Even though I went into a full tangent, let's go ahead and get into these stories, shall we? Let's first talk about why Expedia bet big on IShowSpeed and won Gen Z's attention. And if you see me looking down at my screen, it's because I bring notes to the conversation to make sure we're having an engaged and informed chat. But also, I will go off on little tangents that's related to the conversation, just, to keep it flowing naturally in our chat. Okay, to pull an excerpt from the source is actually Expedia Newsroom, and I make sure when I am pulling these stories, you guys, I'm pulling them from reputable places like the Newsroom, their websites, or any other publication that's trusted across the media networks. So Expedia announced a multi-phase global partnership with one of the world's most influential creators, IShowSpeed, naming Expedia as his official travel partner. Built for Gen Z and the next wave of travelers, this partnership turns IShowSpeed's always-on audience of more than 150 million followers, my God, on today, that's a lot of people, into a new kind of global travel community. Reflecting on Expedia's investment in creator-led storytelling that inspires real-time discovery and booking. The campaign kicked off with a 12-hour live stream event simulcast on iShowSpeed's YouTube and Twitch channels as part of iShowSpeed's Caribbean tour. It started at 7:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and ran through approximately at 7:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Fans were able to follow iShowSpeed's travels in real time as he embarked on an epic one-day adventure across 4 Caribbean destinations: Dominica, Guadeloupe, St. Kitts, Nevis, and St. Martin. So let's get into those marketing takeaways. Let's first talk about how creator-powered commerce are flywheels within the marketing funnel. Expedia just didn't hire Speed. They built a booking platform around him. This turns creator influence into a full funnel engine where fandom becomes traffic, traffic becomes bookings, and bookings become culture. And as a former tourism marketing girl, have we ever talked about that? I'm pretty confident we have. You got just check the former episodes or some of my social media posts. But as a former tourism marketing girl who's worked in domestic, regional, and international tourism and also won awards, by the way, for her work, tourism itself is constantly evolving. And when people think tourism, they just think that somebody's like booking a hotel for them or, you're working with someone to book a cruise. Tourism is so multifaceted, and a lot of it is based in economic development. How that ties back into marketing, when tourism works with tourism arms, like, for example, each state has their own tourism arm, right? Maryland has their own called Visit Maryland. Each state has something similar like Visit Denver, Visit, etc. And it's called Destination Marketing Organization, or a DMO, or you can also call it a CVB, Convention and Visitors Bureau, right? So just to give you some terms to live by. But when you have those tourism arms like Visit Maryland, there are prongs underneath that. You have your county-based tourism. So I worked for Visit Montgomery County many moons ago, early in my career. Shout out to Bethany for giving me a chance in their office. And you basically work with these different arms and layers of government, even the state government, because you had to do a lot of lobbying around, budget protections and things like that, and bringing big things to your destination to draw in tourism. And when you work with creators like IShowSpeed, it brings a new spotlight onto your destination. And it is the people like Expedia who, to give you backstory, used to be one of the partners I worked with when I worked in international tourism and partnerships as a partnership and strategic manager. It is so important to make sure you're aligning with the right people who can push your destination forward and also bring in that money. Right now, tourism is seeing another wave of travelers come into the market, Gen Z. Gen Z is no longer just little kids who have play money. They actually have adult money now. They're going into the job market. They're buying homes. They're getting careers. They're traveling. But the way that they approach travel is completely different than the way, say, millennials approach travel, to say like Gen X approach travel, to say boomers approach travel. And tourism itself has had to adjust to meet the needs of those different markets. When you think about stuff like that with iShowSpeed, it was so smart for Expedia to not just show the live stream on one channel. They broadcasted on multiple channels, including leveraging Twitch. Twitch, I think, is forgotten about a lot in the conversation as a power player within the social media and the live stream spaces. It really does, in my opinion, directly compete with YouTube, because when you think about it, Twitch is more so a gaming platform in which you can watch people play games live on a platform, but now it has evolved to be more of a content arm for creators. Having someone like IShowSpeed, who has 150 million followers, that not only lives on one platform but can also translate to other areas, translates into dollars for these destinations. It is no secret that Gen Z loves a vibe and they love something that's cool, but they also love something that's off the beaten path. So this kind of like chaotic approach with iShowSpeed of him doing these 4 different destinations. I believe it's 4 different. Let me double check my notes. Yes. 4 different Caribbean destinations in one day is along the lines of what Gen Z loves. They love the vibes. They love something that's different. They love something that speaks to their live for the moment kind of vibe. Moving into our second marketing takeaway about authenticity as the new travel aesthetic, Gen Z just doesn't want something that's pretty in terms of pictures and glossy tourism ads, which is basically the old school way of doing things in a tourism space. I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars were spent on photo shoots, on video shoots to draw people in for ads and things like that. When I worked in the tourism space, I've sat in many a meeting about casting, about finding the right location, organizing these things as well to get the right shoots for the production company we were working with, to get the right picture for these ads that were placed in multiple publications around the world, both print and also digital. But I also think about this too. When Gen Z not wanting those glossy tourism ads, they want something real that's unfiltered. That's where social media really drives the conversation. That's where people like iShowSpeed drive the conversation. They want people who feel authentic and real to them. They want people that they can actually connect with and feel like they have a parasocial relationship with. Will they ever meet iShowSpeed? No. But do they feel like they're friends in their head with him? Yes. And over time, that friend in their head parasocial relationship builds trust. Then, by translating that trust into this campaign that he's working on with Expedia, now you're seeing that trust turn into something real in terms of converting that into dollars. In that last marketing takeaway, let's talk about fandom as a global demand signal. Letting fans vote on Speed's next destination turns audience behavior into real-time market research. Expedia is literally mapping Gen Z's travel interest through engagement. And this is also important too in the tourism marketing space. A lot of times when it comes to us having having data, the data is delayed. I remember when I worked in that space, we would put out all this research and sometimes had to wait months up to a year in order to get the right metrics back of what we did next in terms of how we built our campaigns, and tied in working with creators, tour operators, which are the people who plan like the big bus tours or the big group trips that you see on your social media feed. Those are people we actually had to attract through free trips called fam tours, familiarization tours, to bring them to our destination so they could turn around and tell their clients about us. Expedia, doing this live engagement in terms of allowing fans to vote of where they go next, now puts the control in the audience market. It no longer puts just the control in the tour operators and those who plan travel. It's actually speaking directly to the customers themselves, which is also something I'm seeing in terms of a shift in terms of engagement. We just can't wait on the data to tell us a story. Sometimes you have to go directly to your audience and say, hey, what do you want to see? And actually listen to that feedback. Actually take it back to your team, because that advice can be invaluable and also save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of spreadsheets trying to come to the same resolution that you would have got if you would just talk directly to your audience and been authentic. In that marketing lesson, let's make sure we remember this, that creators aren't ads, they're product surfaces. The future of creator partnerships is not endorsements, it's co-built experiences, where the creator becomes the interface. Brands that design with creators not around them unlock deeper trust and higher conversion. Okay, in our next story, we're going to talk about how Pizza Hut turned memory into momentum. You're going to like this one, by the way. I got this from MSNBC. In reality, I did see it on social media first, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't a rumor, so I did go to a news source, MSNBC, to get more information. Get ready to turn reading time into pizza time. This summer, keep your kids reading, learning, and loving books, all while earning free pizza. Reads a post from the Book It. Yes, y'all, Book It is back. Book It Instagram page announcing summer stories. You can register for the program starting May 1st, which is this month, and the program itself runs from June 1st until August 31st, so during like kids' summer break. Continuing from the excerpt from the article, once your child has met their reading goal, the app will generate a certificate to present at Pizza Hut locations for their free personal pan pizza. Kids can earn a free pizza each month through the duration of the program. When I tell you, you guys, I was so excited to see this. First of all, I would like to be included in the Book It program. I would like a free personal pan pizza. I would, because I remember this so fondly as a child. Give quick backstory. I was an avid reader, still am, but time is just not on my side the way it used to. But I got a lot of books. I'm currently reading Octavia Butler's, I think it's Parable of the Sower. I'm currently reading on my bedside table, making my way through that book. That book is dark, by the way. It's dark. It's dark because it feels very real to what we're going through right now. But I digress. And I also have on my list to read Children of Blood and Bone series, because I love me a good fantasy novel. Yes, I do. It just didn't stop at Harry Potter. I love Children of Blood and Bone in terms of like the fantasy and how it intertwines. I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I'm an avid reader, always have been, and I have multiple books within my personal library that include Black authors like, Zora Neale Hurston, Their Eyes Are Watching God. I read that 4 times throughout my lifetime. The Bluest Eyes still makes me cry to this day from the narrative that was told. I also have Colson Whitehead books. I have Underground Railroad. I have Nickel Boys, which was heartbreaking to read. I have a lot of books that I read, and I'm very purposeful about what I choose to engross my knowledge in, as well as art history books as well. So that's just a little fun fact about me. I'm an avid reader. I do love me a good audiobook, though, when I don't have time. But physical copies are preferred. Do not give me a Kindle. Do not ever give me a Kindle. I don't like that, because it's not real. I need to flip pages. I just can't scroll. I do that on social media. I scroll. I can't. It's not the same. But when we get into those marketing takeaways, again, I told you in the beginning of the podcast episode, tangents will happen, but we always going to come back. We're always going to come back. Let's get into those marketing takeaways. First up, let's talk about how nostalgia as a multi-generation loyalty engine. Book It taps into millennial childhood memories, mainly mine, while onboarding Gen Alpha. It is a rare moment when nostalgia becomes a family ritual. And let's also keep it real, too. These kids can't read. They can't read. They can read words on the paper, but reading for comprehension, 2 and 2 is not making 4, it's making 6 in their mind. It is. And things like Book It, which are, OG programs when we were children, as mentioned in the marketing takeaway, it really encouraged children to read, but making it fun through a reward system. And I think that's what's missing from things like, the Book It program that is making a comeback, but other programs that are tied into learning. What is a reward system, right? When we were kids, Book It was a big thing. I used to love going to the Scholastic Book Fair, getting my little paper, circling things like it was a Nordstrom catalog. But those kind of things have faded away over time as technology has progressed. And I do think that there is value in bringing back something that was old and making it new again, because it was the reason why those programs worked. While it was just a personal pan pizza, you also knew that you got rewarded for finishing a book, but it gave parents a way to engage with their children while also getting something that made the kid feel good at the end of the day, which was pizza and a certificate. And then going to that second marketing takeaway, gamified literacy equals habit building touch points, touching a little bit on what I said before, but expanding on it, the digital reward tracker creates a monthly reward loop that builds both reading habits and Pizza Hut habits. This is also a great way, not to dig too much into the data, for Pizza Hut to target a new audience. Pizza Hut has been struggling in recent years to find their footing within the market. Pizza Hut has really been struggling to hold on to the nostalgia of the past. By bringing this program back, they're now able to track this new audience. Of course, you're going to have to sign up, which is what was mentioned in the blurb. But when you sign up, now you'll be on their email listserv. Now they can send you promotional offers. Now they have other ways to talk to you. So this gives Pizza Hut a way to expand their list and also build loyalty with a new audience who may not be aware of them before, but now are aware through this Book It program. The third and final marketing takeaway, community demand as product research and development. The internet begging for an adult version. It's me. I'm the internet. I'm begging for an adult version. It's free product research. Pizza Hut now has a roadmap for adult tiers, family challenges, and more. And more importantly, it's just not about the research and development, but it's also about bringing families together, as mentioned in the blurb. As I shared before, these kids can't read, but also a lot of these adults can't read either, because my God, there, and there. Why are we struggling so much with that? I don't know. But reading really is fundamental and also is a gateway to a lot more things in terms of opportunities. As an avid reader as a child, having those resources in free education through the library, through those books that I read every single week for the Book It program, through the Scholastic Book Fair, those are things that powered my learning even when I was not in school. You could always find my nose in a book as a child. You could always find me with a pile of books every single weekend. It was actually a game my mom and I had. Whatever book I picked up, I had to finish within that week. And it made me determined to accomplish that goal. When we would take the bus before my mom got a car when I was little, and we were living in the Mount Rainier area, I would read aloud on the bus. And one time, sidebar story, someone had the nerve to complain about me reading aloud on the bus. I swear to goodness, everybody was ready to cuss them clean out, because they knew the little girl and her mom ride this bus, all the time. And they encouraged me to read. They encouraged me to, sound the words out loud and to build my confidence. That encouragement built even further my confidence to do things like public speaking, my confidence to, do this podcast, because I wasn't afraid to make mistakes in terms of stumbling over words I did not know. But it also made me curious to dig deeper into things I was curious about, whether it came to like things like art, history. When I struggled with math, that was turned into something that was gamified for me as well. So to go back and close it up with a big loop on this segment of the marketing takeaway, takeaways, this research and development will allow for Pizza Hut to further build those tiers out to draw in those new audiences and bring reading to life for a whole new generation who may not be aware of how impactful it can be on their personal development. I could see the Bookit.com team, not Bookit.com, Yvonne. Girl, you are confusing platforms. I could see the Bookit team creating funnels that continue through the program, like with merch, maybe with activations. It could be a book literacy tour, a collaboration with Scholastic. It can even be, going back into the flow I just made about Booking.com, it could even be maybe like a collaboration with Booking.com to do a library travel tour, right? In which people go to, they do like a package plan of destinations featured in popular books. It could be so many things the Pizza Hut team does with this, and I'm interested to see how they leverage this to make it even greater for visibility, awareness, and to drive sales. Okay, in our next story, let's talk about Disney's high fashion remix, aka the house that the mouse built. So I got this from Disney, specifically the Disney Experiences part of the website. So Disney and Vogue announced a multi-year, announced a multi-year creative partnership that will spotlight Disney's Mickey Mouse through the lens of some of the world's most dynamic fashion voices in the lead up to the 100th anniversary of Mickey Mouse. Mickey, you almost 100? You look good. You look good. As part of the initiative, designers are invited into Disney's archive to explore Mickey Mouse across decades of design using vintage silhouettes, graphics, and storytelling as inspiration for contemporary reinterpretations. Each designer will reinterpret Mickey Mouse through their distinct creative lens. Okay, let's get into those marketing takeaways. Let's first talk about heritage intellectual property, or IP, as a high fashion canvas. By inviting designers into the archives, Disney transforms Mickey from a character into a fashion muse, elevating the brand into cultural territory. And also understanding, too, that Mickey has been around for these 100 years. He is synonymous with the Disney brand. You don't think about Disney without thinking about Mickey Mouse. I know Donald be trying to, have his little moment in the spotlight, but ain't nobody come to see you, Otis. Ain't nobody come to see you, Otis. Everybody came to see Mickey, and Minnie, too, because that's his longtime girlfriend. He need to put a ring on it, but I ain't going to be in his business. But bringing designers in to do that reimagining of Mickey Mouse also does a fresh take for a new generation. Of course, each generation is familiar with Disney and its impact. Everyone has their own stories about Disney, whether it's through visiting Disney World or Disneyland, or having experiences with the movies, TV shows, and products that they have within their portfolio. However, everything needs to be refreshed at some point in time, right? You can't just rest on morals about, how recognizable your brand is before people just start to expect the same thing, and your messaging can run stale. So by collaborating with Vogue, that brings new life and also enters Mickey into more of a fashion space that is more higher end, and also gives a chance to test new concepts that the Disney team may not have approached on their own, but through this Vogue collaboration is a smart way of doing it. And a second marketing takeaway to kind of build on what we talked about before, let's talk about editorial validation as a cultural currency. Vogue's involvement reframes the project as a fashion moment, not just a merch drop. It gives editorial credibility through the initiative cultural weight. And then bringing the two together, the way I'm thinking too, going back to, thinking about the Devil Wears Prada, right? Devil Wears Prada 2 that just came in theaters not too long ago. The Vogue team did a special cover of Anna Wintour and the fictional Miranda Priestly as a dual cover on the May magazine. And that's something that's usually reserved for the Met Gala. I could see Vogue maybe doing a special 100th anniversary edition of Mickey Mouse, telling the history about the story X, Y, and Z, and also bringing to life this collaboration through an activation, through something that could be told through like a live event, even doing some kind of special pop-up at Disney World, and maybe doing some kind of special sit-down interview with Mickey Mouse himself, or even having something like showing the behind-the-scenes process of the 100th anniversary celebration. There's so many multiple tie-ins that they could do that would be very smart, that will elevate both positionings for each company and also allow for them to tap into new audiences at the same time. And that third and final marketing takeaway, let's talk about designer diversity as a global expansion. Each designer brings a unique cultural lens, creating a multiple entry point for global audiences and expanding Mickey's relevance. Again, like I mentioned before, it's very easy for marketing tactics to go stale. You want to always bring new life into your marketing tactics. There are campaigns that I work on year after year that I always try to breathe new life in through things I've tested and tried, but also want to make sure that I have my audience's attention. Whether it's something small like trying out, I don't know, having like a specialty coffee menu item or bringing in a new material into your marketing campaign, you always want to make sure your audience does not expect the same thing and gets bored, right? And that is so important even for Mickey Mouse. Even though he's been around for close to 100 years, there's a reason why he's been around for 100 years and people still know who Mickey Mouse is and what he's tied into in terms of the overall brand strategy. So in that marketing lesson, to tie it all together with a big bow, heritage brands stay relevant through reinterpretation. Legacy brands don't stay iconic by repeating themselves. They stay iconic by letting others remix them. Reinterpretation is the engine of longevity. And in our final story, and I know we were having a lovely, lovely time chatting together, but I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're busy, and I know you got to fold that laundry that's in the back, because I got to do it too. Let's talk about Verified by Spotify, authenticity as a feature. I got this from Spotify's newsroom, but it talks about how Spotify is introducing a Verified by Spotify, a signal of authenticity and trust for artists behind the music. And to pull an excerpt from the source, the new Verified by Spotify badge shows an artist's profile has been reviewed and meets Spotify's criteria for authenticity and trust. And with artist profile protection, this is currently in the beta stages, which beta means that they're testing it, right? So it hasn't been rolled out across audiences. Artists now have greater control over what appears on their profile, which helps to ensure the music you see is coming from them. You'll begin to see the new badge appear on artist profiles and next to artist names in the search over the coming weeks. It will be marked by a Verified by Spotify text and a light green checkmark icon. Because Spotify is home to millions of uploaders and artist profiles, reviews and verifications will happen on an ongoing basis to ensure accuracy and consistency. So let's get into those marketing takeaways. Let's talk about how authenticity as a competitive differentiator. In an AI-flooded music landscape, Spotify positions authenticity as a premium feature. Verification becomes a trust signal. And more importantly, as AI continues to become interwoven into our daily thread of life, creativity itself is having a challenge, right? You know, there are people who don't see the value of graphic designers anymore, of photographers, and now of creatives and musicians because they think AI can do it. There's something to be said about the purpose of AI, the purpose it could bring in terms of optimizing performance and streamlining workflows and processes, but there's something about how AI, in my opinion, cannot replace creativity. Creativity itself is a gift. It is something that not everyone has. Everybody think they have it, but not everyone has, right? You know, being on this podcast and talking to you, even though we may not meet in real life, but making sure that you feel engaged and we're having a real conversation is a gift. Being able to put together a campaign and having ideas in your head that put the through line together to make sure the goals and the strategic direction always make sense is a gift. AI cannot do that, right? AI cannot be me. AI cannot be you. It can help, but it cannot replace. And I think what Spotify is doing is they're showing that they're standing with artists and supporting original content. Because what AI does a lot of times is they spit out ideas and suggestions, but are they original thoughts? A lot of times, no. They're pulling from somewhere. They're pulling from someone else's creativity. In that second marketing takeaway, let's talk about transparency as a user experience. Expanded artist details, song DNA, and credits function like a nutrition label, similar to what you see on like the back of like food or something like that, right? they're going to be doing something like that on the Verified by Spotify experience. So having that information allows for people to know who the creators are behind the work. It allows for listeners to understand the story also too behind the sound, because things like that are so important to protect creativity. You know, a song is not just something that fell out the sky and you were able to quickly put it together. It takes time and talent, editing, bringing people in, multiple listening sessions before one song is actually created. You know, even the running joke is Beyonce has hundreds of songs that she dances to in her house we may never hear, but they're created through her hard work. There's always a story behind the song that's created, and Spotify is allowing for supporters of the music to understand the artistry behind the work that they do. And that final marketing takeaway, let's talk about rebalancing power toward artists. Profile protection gives artists more control over their identity and content. It also signals a shift towards a more ethical creator ecosystem, because it's so easy for people to try to steal other people's work. It's not right. But it's too easy right now to steal someone's work and repackage it as your own. That's what a lot of AI sometimes does too. So by Spotify doing that, it's allowing for artists to feel like they're being heard and not being erased. And to bring it all together with a big bow in that marketing lesson, in an AI era, trust becomes a product feature. When content is so easy to fake, verification becomes a value proposition. Brands that build trust build an infrastructure to win loyalty. They also build a cultural authority. Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's chat. Don't forget to follow Coffee with Yvonne on Threads and IG at Coffee with Yvonne, for my personal account where I cut up who I am in my real life, because I am fun. I'm a lot of fun. And I'm smart too. I do talk about marketing too, but more so on TikTok, aka the Clock app. You can find me at Yvonne_creative marketer. To learn more about me and my business, you can go to Pink Dollhouse Marketing to check out my website at pinkdollhousemarketing.com. I messed that up a little bit, y'all. Just let me have it. Or you can follow my business page at Pink Dollhouse Marketing on Instagram. You can slide into my DMs. That's cool. And creatives, I'm going to say this to you every single week until you get it. Don't forget to keep showing up, keep creating, and that your voices matter. I cannot wait to chat with you soon on another episode of Coffee with Yvonne. Okay, bye! Yay! I got through the episode. I'm going to go take some medicine. Coffee with Yvonne is produced and edited by Yvonne Pearson. Coffee with Yvonne is created by Pink Dollhouse Marketing. You can catch the latest episodes by subscribing to Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.